New James Webb Space Telescope observations are adding to the strongest evidence yet that a planet 49 light-years away has a nitrogen-rich atmosphere and possibly a liquid ocean, making it the most promising, potentially habitable world we've ever found. A new survey finds Gen Z uses AI more than any other generation and is also more afraid of where it's heading than any other generation. And scientists gave their predictions for what life on Earth will be like in 2100, and it's a bit of a mixed bag. Every day the news cycle produces roughly 1,000 stories. About 6 of them are about politics, and that's all anyone talks about. I went looking for the rest. This is News Side Quest. The New York Times published a piece yesterday that I want to give some attention because the underlying science has been building for years and appears to be arriving at a significant milestone. The planet is called LHS 1140b, really rolls off the tongue. It orbits a quiet red dwarf star called LHS 1140, which sits about 49 light-years from Earth in the constellation Cetus. The planet was first discovered back in 2017 as a super-Earth, about 1.7 times the size of our planet and roughly 5.6 times as massive. Most importantly, it sits squarely in the habitable zone of the star, the region where temperatures could allow liquid water to exist on a surface. When it was first discovered, astronomers thought it might be a mini Neptune, essentially a small gas giant unsuitable for life, as far as we know. Then James Webb observations from late 2023, analyzed and published 2 years ago, changed the picture dramatically. They ruled out the hydrogen-rich atmosphere that would define a mini Neptune and found something much more interesting. Hints of nitrogen, which makes up 78% of Earth's atmosphere. New observations now being analyzed and reported this week are the most comprehensive look at the planet's atmosphere to date, and they're adding to a body of evidence that has some astronomers describing LHS 1140b as the most promising, potentially habitable world we've ever been able to actually study. The scenario that fits the data best is what scientists are calling an eyeball planet, because LHS 1140b is likely tidally locked, always keeping one face towards its star, the way our moon always has one face towards the Earth. The planet would have a permanent bright side and a permanent dark side. But the model suggests that on the sun-facing side, enough heat would accumulate to melt ice, potentially creating a central ocean, roughly 4,000 kilometers in diameter, about half the surface area of the Atlantic Ocean. Surface temperatures at the center of that alien ocean, if it exists, would be a comfortable 20 degrees Celsius. Now, it's important to differentiate between what's confirmed and what's being studied. The nitrogen-rich atmosphere is strong evidence, not yet confirmed. The ocean scenario is a model that fits the available data, but not a direct observation. More JWST transits are scheduled. The Habitable Worlds Observatory, when it launches in the 2040s, will be able to look for biosignatures. We're at a most promising candidate stage, not a, hey, we found it stage. But here's why this matters. 49 light-years is not quite next door, but in the context of a galaxy that's 100,000 light-years across, it's genuinely in our neighborhood. And finding an atmosphere in a habitable zone super-Earth this distance, a world that might have liquid water right now, is the most important step towards answering the oldest question in astronomy. So what do you think? Does finding a world like this change how you think about whether or not we're alone in the universe? And what would actual confirmation of life elsewhere do to how you live your daily life? You'd still have to pay rent and buy groceries.
Game over, man. It's game over.
A Pew Research Center poll published this week via Newsweek found that Gen Z uses AI more than any other generation. Not exactly shocking. And it's simultaneously the most worried about where it's heading, which is a little surprising. 66% of Gen Z say they have used a chatbot such as ChatGPT, Gemini, or Copilot at least once, up from 55% in 2024. About half use generative AI daily or weekly. But in the same survey, Gen Z is more likely than older generations to say AI will have negative impacts on our society, particularly around job loss and reliability concerns and environmental impact. Montclair State University professor Gabriel Rubin, who studies Gen Z, how would you like to have that job? Anyway, summarized it plainly to Newsweek. Quote, many Gen Z young people are worried that AI will take their jobs, especially because so many people are saying that entry-level jobs are at risk due to generative AI. Other concerns include those about AI taking over the world, end quote. He described the relationship as hard to avoid. They're digital natives. They grew up with language models, and AI is embedded in the tools they use for school and work. But the cheating wars have made their relationship with it complicated. The job market disruption is something that they're living with in real time, and they understand enough about how technology works to know when it can and can't do. The Gallup Voices of Gen Z data adds some texture to the whole thing. Gen Z's enthusiasm for AI has declined while skepticism has climbed, specifically in areas tied to thinking, learning, and creativity. They're questioning whether AI is undermining their own cognitive development, and researchers note that concerns among Gen Z that AI may undermine skill development appear to be outweighing its perceived efficiency gains. It's worth trying to figure that one out, using the thing most and fearing it the most simultaneously. I think the answer is not that hard to find once you figure it out. Familiarity produces fear, not comfort, when the thing you're familiar with is genuinely consequential. Older generations who are less afraid of AI are largely less afraid because they understand it less. A baby boomer who uses AI occasionally to write an email has a fundamentally different relationship with it than a 22-year-old who uses it daily through college, watched it disrupt their job prospects, have seen their peers get caught cheating with it, and is trying to figure out what skills actually belong to them versus the machine. The fear is the appropriate response to the specific situation Gen Z is actually in. Is there something you use constantly that you're also genuinely worried about, and how do you hold on to those two things at once?
Danger, Will Robinson! Danger! No, Will Robinson! Danger!
The Daily Mail published a roundup this week of scientific predictions for life in the 2100s, pulling from demographers, climate scientists, biologists, technologists, and the picture they collectively sketch is complicated in pretty much exactly the ways you would expect. The population projections are the most concrete. The world population is expected to peak around 10 to 11 billion, sometimes around 2080 when I turn 100, and then begin declining. See, look at how optimistic I am that I'm going to be 100. Some countries are already in demographic decline, like Japan, South Korea, parts of Southern and Eastern Europe, and they'll have significantly older and smaller populations by 2100. The U.S., with continued immigration, is expected to fare somewhat better, though an aging population will reshape what governments spend money on. On climate, the range of predictions is wide and depends almost entirely on what happens with emissions over the next 2 or 3 decades. Best case scenarios put average global temperatures increasing around 1 to 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels by 2100. More pessimistic trajectories point to 3 or 4 degrees, enough to make significant coastal areas uninhabitable, shift agricultural zones substantially, and create conditions for large-scale climate migration. The scientists note that the decisions made between now and 2050 will lock in most of the outcomes either way. The technology predictions are where scientists get more speculative and most optimistic simultaneously. Several cited the possibility of meaningful life extension by 2100. Maybe I will make it to 100. Not immortality, but routine human lifespans of 100 to 120 years, becoming normal rather than exceptional. Cancer treatments significantly more advanced than today's, AI systems more integrated into daily life in ways that would be nearly unrecognizable to us. Some cited the possibility of humans on Mars or the Moon, though permanent settlement by 2100 is considered uncertain to say the least. Predictions about the far-flung future, good and bad, have historically been wildly inaccurate. The technological predictions from 1926 were almost entirely wrong about what 2026 would look like. The people who predicted flying cars were wrong. The people who predicted computers didn't anticipate the internet. Almost nobody in 1926 would have predicted a handheld device that contained all of human knowledge and also the world's entire film library. Humility about predictions is probably a good idea. We're already the people making the decisions that 2100 will be the consequence of. The emissions choices, political choices, technological governance, they're being made right now by people alive today. The future isn't something that happens to us. It's something we're in the process of building all the time. So what do you think the world will actually look like in 2100? Flying cars, robot butlers, a post-apocalyptic nightmare, or something else entirely?
Welcome to the world of tomorrow!
A pilot in the UK sky-typed "I'm bored" in letters over Cheshire during a test flight, using the plane's contrails as the medium and apparently having significant time to spare. I'd actually feel pretty good about having a pilot skilled enough to execute legible skywriting mid-flight.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
A Florida woman hid from police in a shed until her cat led officers directly to her. The cat approached officers and returned to the shed multiple times, apparently finding the whole situation interesting. You think your cat is on your side, but you're wrong. I have no doubt Dublin would sell us out in approximately 2 seconds if the circumstances were right. The woman was found and arrested.
Take him away, boys.
Hey, I'm the chief here. Take him away, toys.
What'd you say, Chief?
An Ohio woman said the voices in her head led her to buy the lottery ticket that won. The good news is now she has money to get the voices in her head checked out. She won, the voices were correct.
Girlfriend's gonna get paid.
A pole dancer in Houston accidentally activated a sprinkler system mid-routine, flooding her and one other apartment. I feel like there is a genuine marketing opportunity here for a professional pole installation business that specifies safe distance from fire suppression system. The water damage was significant. The routine has not been completed yet.
Oh, yeah, the word you're looking for is wow.
That's it for News Side Quest. Yesterday we talked about Gen Z going with trade schools instead of college, mostly because of cost. Gigi commented on Substack, quote, "Wish this info had been around 10 years ago and the belief was kids will need a college degree just to get a job." Great point, Gigi. Not only did people in charge say that, but also that we'd be inundated with job offers our entire lives. Of course, if everyone has a college degree, that doesn't exactly work, does it? 3 questions out there to close out the week. Whether finding a potentially habitable planet changes how you think about being alone in the universe. Something you use constantly that also worries you, and what you honestly think the world will look like in the year 2100. Email me at newsidequest@gmail.com or pay a visit to the Substack comments. Have a great weekend. See you on Monday.